You know, when there's that strong connection between mind and body, you can do what you want and you can get what you desire. And this as an athlete is really, really important for you to understand, because what with most athletes, when they get on the start line of a race, a really important race, they want to run fast. They want to do it, but their body doesn't allow them to do that. And the reason is because there's a conflict of interest. Because your mind wants to do it, but because you get overshadowed with stress and anxiety, that stress and anxiety is blocking that messaging between your mind and body. And there's a disconnection when that happens. So when you've got that tightness, that's a disconnection between mind and body. And when you've got tightness, there's, as a conflict of interest between what you want and what you're going to get. So you must understand that there has to be that intensity of focus, that connection between mind and body, that kind of seamless connection, that kind of messaging that is unbroken, that is in sync when you do so. And how you do that is intensity of focus. You'll find that the best poster for intensity of focus of what they want is Carsten Warholm. He wouldn't, on the face of it, you would see a person that's not really relaxed, but because he's got such an intensity of focus of what he wants, that there's no doubt, and he doesn't allow the doubt to come in to affect his race. And he goes into that race with one goal, and he goes and acts it out and goes and does it, because as he's got that intensity of focus, he pushes any doubts to the side and makes sure that what he wants in his mind and the body is all in sync. And that's really important. So in a way, he is in kind of enacting relaxation, because mind and body are going the same direction. There's no conflict of interest of what he wants. He just goes. And there's no holding back. There's no handbrake. And that's the big thing that what a lot of athletes do. They train really well. They're nice and loose. They get some nice, good times in training that point towards great 400 meter, 200 meter, or 400 meter times, but they don't really enact it in the race because they're actually wanting to run fast, but their tightness and anxiety and stress and nerves are overcoming them. So it's one of those things that I've noticed in my own kind of athletics career. When I had that intensity of focus, that I've decided that this is going to happen. And that's what it is. It's a decision to say, this is what's going to happen. Nerves are not going to stop me. This is going to happen. And you go out and do it. When you've got that intensity of focus, that's really powerful. And that intensity of focus, when you've made that decision and then you go for it, is actually relaxation, because your mind and body are in sync. So I remember, for example, that during my racing career, I was actually traveling maybe 2 hours, and this was back in Ireland where I was living at the time, but I was traveling about a couple of hours to get to a competition somewhere in Ireland. I was living in Dublin, and somewhere in Ireland there's a competition going on, and I missed my 400 meter hurdles race. And basically that was frustrating for me, because as you can imagine, I've traveled that distance, driven down, and I've missed the race. And I was really quite angry with myself for being a plonker. But essentially what I thought was, well, I'm not coming out of this competition without doing some kind of race. So I entered, and it was an open meet, so you could enter into other events later on. So I entered into the 400 meters that was held later on in the afternoon. And I basically said to myself, right, I don't care. I am coming out with a PB with this. This is going to happen. And I was kind of using that anger that I had with myself and transmuting it into direction of focus. And that's when you can actually use anger really well and try and actually transmute it and transform it into something positive. And that's what I did in that race. And I went out, and for that 400 meter race, I was fluid, I was powerful. There was that focus that I had, and that intensity of focus that I had, that drove me to a PB. And what's probably more kind of unusual in the fact that I was injured the previous month leading up to that race, and I hadn't done much training. And that would normally say, well, I'm not really fit at the moment. Most athletes would say, I'm not really fit. But I went in there and said, no, this is going to happen. I'm going to come out with this as a PB. And I broke a PB. I can't remember by how distance, 0.3 or something like that. But I came out with a PB. And this was an example of intensity of focus, where I made a decision and didn't allow any nerves to come in and say, in fact, I wasn't nervous. This is what I said, this is going to happen. And I decided to go out and act it out. And the body followed my decision. And this is what you've got to do in for your racing. This is something that I could talk about relaxation as many different things. But if you've got a mindset, a decision that you make, this is going to happen in this race, and you push the nerve to the side or use the nerves for your benefit, you make that decision and you say, nothing else is going to happen, this is what's going to happen, the body will follow that decision. And that's powerful. When you allow nerves to come in and you start to tighten and you start to actually worry about other athletes in the race, or he's quicker than me, this, that, and everything else, your mind has gone out to outside factors and it's not on you, and you're not focused on you. And you need to have that mind-body connection to run your fastest time. If you had mind-body connection, you make a decision and you say, this is what's going to happen and I'm accepting nothing less, powerful things happen. And that's something that you can instantly bring into your racing. So try out for your training, but mostly you'll get the most out of it when you're racing. Make that intensity of focus. Make that decision of what you want to do and go out and attack it. Once you find that, you will release the handbrake and you'll find that your body will follow that. So if that video is useful to you, please subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to my newsletter as well. It gives you a discount on my programs, and also take a look at my programs. I've got a starter program to how to enact relaxation into your body. That's kind of a small mini program, and then I've got my full program below that as well. So take a look at those different programs, and I'll see you in the next video.